What's up, guys? Tim here with the Tim Sports Talk. So, today we are going to talk about the strength of schedule for each team and who had the easiest schedule for 2020 and who has the hardest schedule for 2020. Now, how I calculated this is I first took the past year's record of all their opponents, like a lot of other websites do. So, that was step one. But I didn't just stop there. A lot of places just stop there. I went on and because I thought there was some more stuff to be important there, especially when you look at okay, Detroit last year was 13, 12, and 1. Okay, well, their starting quarterback Matt Stafford got hurt. So are we really going to say that they're a 3, 12, and 1 team with Matt Stafford on the field? I disagree with you on that if that's what you think. But so I thought it would have been good to take what is Vegas projecting these teams to get and win. So I took their over under wins and then I took the team's schedule and then added up all of their opponents' wins projected and see where it lines up. And then I took the record as well. So I got another percentage based for the projected record of the teams they're going to play this year. And the last thing I did was take the power rankings. Okay, so I took 4 different websites. I took their power rankings. It was NFL.com, ESPN, CBS, and a guy named Walter Football. My dad really likes him, so he has a lot of good stuff. But I took their power rankings for each team and then averaged that out and then added up those numbers for the schedule of each team. So the first two are the highest number are the toughest schedule, and the lowest number is the easiest schedule. In the power rankings, it's going to be the opposite. So, because if you play the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Niners, those are the top 3 teams in the league and a lot of projected. Those numbers are going to be 1, 2, and 3. So that's a low number. So the low number is going to be the toughest one for that category. Awesome. So now that we got how I did it out of the way, we are going to jump right in to first the top 5 easiest schedules. And spoiler, it is the Steelers. Steelers have the 5th easiest schedule. So they're looking at it, they have the second or the second lowest, which is 31st average record of last year's teams. The projected, they have the 25th at 500. And then the power rankings, they had a score of 272.5. Those numbers will start to make sense when I start comparing them to other teams. But why is their schedule easy? First of all, the divisions they're playing are the NFC East and the AFC South. Probably the 2 worst divisions in football, and they get to play both of them there. And then they also play the Bengals twice and the Browns twice. Those are always somewhat easier games. Their 2 tough ones are obviously against the Ravens. Those are going to be really tough. They're highly rated. But when you look at a lot of their other teams they play, it's really, really soft. So starting with the 2 divisions they have to play. Awesome. So that is the Steelers at number 5. The 4th, oh yeah, and their total rank was an average of 23. So or 26 rather. So how I did that final for the total rank is I ranked them all in those 3 categories, and then I took their number, added them up, and averaged them out to get what was their average number, and then ranked those based on the average there. So they were the 5th. Now, the Titans are number 4. So if you look at the total rank, they actually are a little bit lower or like an easier schedule than the other team, but I'll explain that in a bit. But obviously, they have a really easy schedule because the division they play in is not very good. So the Colts, the Texans just traded away arguably their best player, DeAndre Hopkins, so they look like they're going backwards. They have the Jacksonville Jaguars look abysmal. They're ranked 32 in almost every power ranking. I think one of them had them at 31, so they get to play them twice. Their schedule is so easy, and that's why they're ranked at number 4. Now, moving on to number 3 is the Colts. Now, this one is, if you actually look at their total rank, like I was talking about with the Titans, their total rank is 26.67, and the Titans were a total rank of 27. So the lower number is supposed to be the tougher schedule. So you would think that the Colts have the tougher out of the two. But looking at it, they're actually ranked, their opponents are actually ranked 32nd in each of the projected categories. So the power rankings, they were a number at 312. Remember, highest number makes it the easiest. The Titans were at a 283.5. That's only a 30-point difference almost, which was the biggest jump out of all of them. Like if you go down the list, that 30-point jump was just huge. And then as well as the opponents' projected records are .491 for the Titans, and it's projected .479, a 0.12% jump for them, which was pretty significant because if you go back up to the .491, you get to, I think it was like a .495, a 5.0. So I think one is 4.97. So they're much more closer there. So a jump of 0.12 was pretty significant. So I switched those two and I put the Colts as the third easiest schedule. Looking at it, a lot of people are down on the Texans this year. Titans had a good season last year, but they still only went 9-7. Everybody remembers that they beat the Ravens and the Patriots, so they got to the AFC Championship game. So people might have them in their minds a little bit better team than they actually are. But Ryan Tannehill is still their quarterback. They're not a fantastic team. They're a solid team. They're good, but playing them twice is not something that you have to really worry about. So looking at their schedule is really, really easy. But they do have to play the Ravens. Also, they have the Packers. So that's why they're not ranked higher than 3. But really easy schedule for the Colts. Now, on to the second easiest schedule in the 2020 season is the Browns. Very similar to the Steelers, NFC East, AFC South, two easiest divisions in football. So looking at their stuff, their average opponent record from last year was .461, way under 500. The projected is at 500, but that's only good for 25th ranked. And then their power rankings is a 279, which is good for 28th ranked. So when you average those out, they became the second easiest schedule. And looking at their schedule, again, they have to play the Ravens twice, which is tough. But the Patriots are going to be down this year. They don't play the Patriots. They play the Jets from that division, which obviously is much easier. Jaguars, they get to play. It's Bengals twice. Those are going to be rough games this year. Some people have the Cowboys and the Eagles really rated high, but they didn't perform all that well last year, so those could be potentially easier games, especially if Dak doesn't come back and they have Andy Dalton. That could be a different situation. So they are good for the second easiest schedule. And then the easiest schedule on the year is an easy Baltimore Ravens. They have the Chiefs as a tough game, but that might be the only game they're going to be dogs in the entire time. Again, they have the NFC East, terrible division. They have the AFC South, not a very good division. And then they have the Patriots. They have to play the Patriots, but they're out of Tom Brady. That looks like a much easier game. So a lot of the teams they're playing are way down in the power rankings, especially with Houston dropping in a lot of people's minds. Colts, they jumped in some people's minds, but some still had him down. Titans, I think, had a little bit of an overrated, they outperformed what they should have done last year, so they'll probably come back down to earth. But playing the Giants, the Redskins, unfortunately, those are just easy games, very easy games. So the Ravens have, according to my math, the easiest schedule in 2020. Now, we move on to who has the top 5 toughest schedules in the NFL 2020. And number 5 is the Denver Broncos. Number 1, they have to play the Chiefs twice. But they also they have to play the Saints. They have to play Tampa Bay, who I think is going to be really tough this year. And then obviously Kansas City twice. They have to play the Bills. So they have a lot of tough games on their record. So looking at last year's opponents, they had a record of .512, which was good for 12. which so that's not super high. But when you look at their projected, both of them are good for fifth place with their projection of 0.525, which is really high projection. And then the power ranking, remember the lower numbers, the tougher one here, they have a 244. And if you compare them over to the Ravens, who had a 282, there's a 40-point difference. And then if you compare them to the Colts had a 312. That's 70-point difference, almost a 70-point difference from the Broncos to there. So the Broncos had a really tough pairing here. So I gave them the number 5th. The 4th toughest schedule is the Rams. I feel bad for the Rams. I feel for them. They're a good team, and if you put them in the NFC East, the last 5 years they probably win the division year in and year out. It sucks that they are in the San Francisco and Seahawks division because both of them are very, very, very good teams. As they are going to have to play them twice, and then they also play the the NFC South, I believe. Double check that. Hold on. They play the Bucks. Which division do they play? No, they play the NFC East, which is a little bit better for them. But then they have to play the Bucks. They got drawn with the Bucks, and I think the Bucks are going to be a very strong team this year. They have to play the 49ers twice, and they have to play the Seahawks twice. So we got them at number 4. The number 3 hardest schedule is the New England Patriots. A lot of people have them at number 1. They have the toughest schedule because if you look at their record, the opponent's records from last year, they are number 1. It's 0.537, well over 500. They have to play the Chiefs. They have to play the Texans. They also have to play the Bills twice. So they're going to be tough. They have to play the Niners. They have to play the Seahawks. They have to play the Rams. This is a pretty tough schedule they got here. And looking at their numbers, outside of that, the reason they aren't number 1, because they did have number 1 for last year's records, is this year they have the 10th projection at 0.517, so still pretty tough, but it's all the way down to 10. And if you look at their power rankings, they're down at 8 at 251.5. So those other two really brought them from the toughest schedule in the NFL because you had the number 1 here, but 10 and 8, and looking at it, and when you look at the other 2 teams above them, you also see why. Okay, hold your brakes. So we'll move on right now to the second hardest schedule in the 2020 season is the New York Jets. The New York Jets have a extremely tough schedule because they're number 2 on the record from last year, just behind the Patriots at 0.533 when the Patriots at 0.537. They were right there. Then if you look, they had, for the projected record next season, they're looking at a 5.27, which was 0.01 over the Patriots, and that was good for 4th on the list. And then when you look at their power rankings are all the way up to 2 with 238.5 on when you total them up. They too have to play the Ravens. The Chiefs. Sorry, they don't have to play the Ravens. They have to play the Chiefs, which is going to be tough. But they too have to play the Niners, the Seahawks, the Rams. Very tough opponents. But what the Patriots don't have to play is the Patriots, and the Jets have to play them twice. Even without Tom Brady, those are gonna be some tough games to play. I think that Bill Belichick is going to have the team very well coached and ready to play. Obviously, they're going to take a hit losing one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but there's still going to be a tough out. The Colts are an up-and-coming team. They have to play. Now they got Phillip Rivers, so the Colts could be a much tougher out. It's going to be tough sledding for the Jets, and the Jets are already a meh team. It could be a rough season for the Jets that are trying to get out of that funk. I think they went 7-9 last year. They're trying to get out of the bottom of the barrel, but with a schedule like this is going to be a tough uphill battle. Sam Darnold's really going to have to play well. On to the toughest schedule in the 2020 season. That is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are going to have a tough year. When it's all said and done, they could have 7 out of their 16 games be against top 6 opponents. Looking at it, they have to play the Bucks twice now with Tom Brady. They have to play the Chiefs. They have to play the Saints twice. They have to play the Packers. The Vikings are very good. They have the Seahawks. It is going to be a tough year for the Atlanta Falcons. That if they somehow come above 500 this season, they're rocking and rolling, and they have some good talent over there. But it's not going to be easy. Matt Ryan is going to have a fun year playing against a lot of really tough defenses. It's going to be uphill. And for the final rankings, they were 5th for last year in opponents' record, at .525. But as far as the projected records, they're number 1 at .533, which is ridiculously high for projections because nobody gets projected 13 wins, 14 wins. They're going to be projected around 11.5 at the highest. So the fact that they're already at .533, just the projections, and then when you look at who had the highest last year, it was .537. So they're already almost right there with the projections, and nobody's hit 12, 13, 14 wins. That could jump way higher this year to make them have one of the toughest schedules ever. And then on that, the power rankings, they're at 234 total, another 4.5 points lower than the Jets. They are going to have tough sledding over there in Atlanta. So that is my top. Now I would like to show you how, the math to do it. You can take a look at this. Here's my total, my complete set here from 1 to 32. You can let me know if you agree, disagree, if the schedule's here. Here's all the other rankings here for each category, and I added them up this way. And that is it for today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for viewing, and I will see you next time. See ya.